Joining me now is Democratic Congressman Adam Schiff of California. He was, of course, the lead prosecutor in Donald Trump's first impeachment trial. Congressman Schiff, it's great to see you. When you've lost Fox News, who do you have left? The fact is, the goings-on today seem like, is debacle the right word? I'm not sure. What in your mind happened today, and what road is this going down for Republicans?
I think it was a complete debacle, and, and if you'll pardon the expression, it was an ass-backwards impeachment proceeding. Historically, what Congress has done when it believed a president was engaged in wrongdoing that might rise to the level of a high crime or misdemeanor is do a thorough investigation. Once you've done the investigation and believe there's a sound basis, then you start an impeachment inquiry. And at the end of that, you bring in the experts to evaluate the evidence you presented and put it in constitutional context. Well, today, Republicans did it in exactly the opposite direction. They started with experts who had no evidence to evaluate. And I'm not surprised that the Fox News watching crowd was frustrated by this. But this has been the case all along. This has been an impeachment in search of a reason for being. Jamie Raskin had it exactly right. It was the Seinfeld of impeachments, impeachment about nothing. And it's also such a stark juxtaposition of this meritless impeachment inquiry taking place, wasting time while we're just a couple days away from a shutdown of the federal government, which is what they should be focused on. And if I can, Alex, I just want to respond to the question you asked earlier. What should Kevin McCarthy do? He gave his word to Joe Biden when they reached that budget deal to avert a default on our debt. He should tell his Republican conference, I gave the president my word. I gave it to him on behalf of our conference, and I'm going to honor my word. And I'm putting up this bipartisan bill, and I want you to vote for it. I'm going to vote for it. And if you remove me, you remove me, but I'm going to keep my word. That does not appear to be the approach of Kevin McCarthy. And it's service members who are going to go out without paychecks who are going to suffer. It's federal firefighters who are going to suffer. It's travelers at airports who are going to suffer. It's parents with kids in Head Start who are going to lose child care that are going to suffer because Kevin McCarthy won't keep his word, and neither will the Republican conference.
Can I ask you, though, on that front? I mean, if Kevin McCarthy does what is, I think most people assume is the right thing here, which is to prevent a government shutdown, it almost certainly means he loses his speakership. What is the view on someone else holding the speaker's gavel from the point of view of the Democratic caucus? Is the devil you know, which is to say, pardon the expression, Kevin McCarthy, is that better than whoever Republicans come up with next for speaker? I mean, because keep in mind, you guys could also pursue a motion to vacate and get him out of the speaker's chair, but nobody's done that so far.
I would rather have someone of their word, someone you could trust and make a deal with, someone whose word meant something or stood for something or believed in something than a speaker who has none of those qualities, because a speaker with none of those qualities, as we are seeing, can't govern. And so, I don't know that Speaker McCarthy would lose his speakership over doing the right thing. I know he's afraid of that. What he has going for him is they don't seem to have much of an alternative. After all, the rebels in their conference aren't really interested in governing. They're just interested in tearing down. But they don't have anyone else to step up to that position. So he may stay in that position. But frankly, I would choose, if it were up to me, but it's not, having a Republican speaker that's more effective, even though they'd be more effective, because they could help govern, and they could ideally work with us across the aisle to govern. In the Senate, a bipartisan proposal to keep the government funded got 77 votes to advance. They've been able to do it in the Senate. We should do it in the House.
What is your expectation here about how what do the next 72 hours, 96 hours look like? The Republicans seem intent on continuing the impeachment inquiries. They've deemed the staff for those inquiries essential workers. And a deal is so far nowhere to be seen. So what should we expect happens in the halls of Congress?
Well, first of all, there's nothing less essential than the people that are working on this bogus impeachment inquiry. But, where is this going to all end up? I think it's going to end up in a train wreck. In fact, I was talking to one of the Republicans on the little tram after votes, the first session of votes today. And I asked him, how does this end? And his answer was, I can't tell you, but not well. And sadly, it's going to end not well for the country, I think, because at this point, they're likely to shut down. I do think that they will come to embrace a CR. They will try to get some face-saving device to at least claim some kind of a win. But it's the country that's going to lose, and it's only a question at this point probably of how long people are going to be suffering before the Republicans decide the pressure is too much and they need to put something forward that can pass in the House and Senate.
Congressman Adam Schiff, you are welcome to use the phrase ass backwards anytime to describe moments like this. I appreciate you, and thank you for making the time tonight.
Thank you.